Hey guys, this is Josh, and for today's video I have a very special guest, UH recruiter and advisor Lyle Tate for the Optometry School. Now, I had to apologize in advance because unfortunately I was feeling under the weather and wasn't up to my full standard as I am. So to make up for it, here's a picture of a sloth. Oh, isn't that adorable? Hey, by the way, make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And I'll leave that to y'all. See ya. So, what do you do?
So I am program manager for admissions and recruiting and advising for the University of Houston College of Optometry.
That's interesting. Very interesting. So, what, in your own opinion, what is optometry? Like, what do you think optometry is and stuff?
So your optometrist is your primary vision care provider. And optometry is the study of visual systems, visual health, ocular health, but it doesn't just stop there. It really is a full, holistic, fully systemic study of the human body and the way that vision relates to everything you can imagine. Everything in your body can be tied to vision in some way when it comes to health and wellness. So it's really an amazing field for any students who are interested in being in the medical field. If you like making a difference in somebody's life that day, optometry is an excellent field to go into.
Awesome, that's really interesting. So you said that you work at U of H for the recruiting system, correct?
I do.
So can you tell us why you decided to choose U of H and why U of H is so special?
So I was an English major in undergrad at Mississippi State University, and after my undergrad I worked for a few years and eventually went back to grad school in student affairs. I knew I wanted to stay on a college campus with student life, leadership, recruiting, admissions, really anything related to day-to-day student life. When I finished my degree, also at Mississippi State, I started job searching, and a friend of mine that I'd had courses with in grad school, she finished before I did, and she actually came here to UHCO and worked in the Office of Optometry Relations, not in the same position I'm currently in, but in a similar one. She was getting married and moving home to Mississippi, so she called me and said, you should watch for, this job posting. I have loved my job here. It's a great team. So I did. I watched for, this position to be posted. Turns out I did not get the position that I originally applied for, but the director gave me a call and said, hold on, we are creating a new position, and we want you to think about that one. So I did. I applied for that one as well, and so that's kind of what I do now. It's been really exciting to sort of create my own position over the last 4 years. Previously, admissions and recruiting to some aspect, really it was managed by two separate individuals, one of whom is a faculty member, and so he stepped out of admissions and went back into the classroom and clinic more. So that opened up the position for me to create the admissions world, pre-optometry advising, and coordinate recruiting all together. So it's a big job, but
wow.
I love it, and I get to work with a really great team. So
that's
it's certainly
awesome.
not all me.
Man. So I have another question. Since you are a recruiter, what are you looking for in people trying out for optometry and doing the application and stuff?
Sure. Okay, so it's not, when I like to say that when you're looking at applying for optometry school, it's not all about the numbers, but it is a lot about the numbers. So you've got to have strong academics. This is true for our school and really any of the other 23 schools of optometry in the U.S. You've got to have a really strong academic background, not just to prepare you for optometry school curriculum, but really to get you through the application process, because it is pretty competitive. Not once you're in school. I don't like the word competitive necessarily because our students really take care of each other once they're in the program, but to get into a program can be pretty competitive. So we're looking for solid academics. There's no minimum GPA that you have to have for UHCO in order to be considered, but we are looking for around a 3.5 overall GPA from your undergrad. That's just a solid competitive average. In addition to your GPA, we're looking for your OAT scores. That's the optometry admission test, your OAT. Again, no minimum score is required. We will review all applicants, but we're looking for around a 330 or 340 total science score on your OAT in order to be strongly competitive. And if you're not at this point familiar with what those numbers mean, OAT scores you from 200 to 400 on 6 subject areas plus and total science and an academic average. So we're looking for around a 330, a 340 makes you real solid. So in addition to those numbers, it's important to have experience. Just as important as the academics is your knowledge of the day-to-day operations of an optometry practice. What is it like working in different modes of practice? First of all, what all can you do as an optometrist? That's important. What does an OD's scope of practice look like? What does it entail? What does it not entail? What might it entail one day? All those are good things to know. But just experience shadowing and or working with different ODs, with the staff at practices, certainly with patient encounters. You just can't have too much experience. So direct optometric experience is very important. But so is other types of volunteering also, whether that's with Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, church organizations, community groups, Rotary clubs, Lions clubs. Pre-optometry organizations are amazing. That's a fantastic way to get great experience and look really good on your application. So really just as much experience as you can have. So those are all important, and one additional thing that I like to say is a real passion for this field. So you have to have the knowledge of what is optometry first, but then you want to show us that you have a real drive to be an OD, to be of service in the variety of ways that ODs are of service. So just a real fire, for optometry and for serving a community and your patients.
Nice. So let me go back a few little things. I was going to ask, what do you think is the first step for a person or a student who just got out of the high school and want to be an optometrist? What should they do? Okay,
I would say experience first. Shadowing, and this is true for any medical field and really other fields outside of medicine. That's, if you can reach out to your local optometrist and just ask if you can come and shadow and watch what a practice entails day to day. What does an exam entail? And during that shadowing, you'll start picking up vocabulary. You'll get encounters with patients, hopefully a variety of patients. And of course, here in Houston, we have the best, most diverse variety of people in the world. So that's the first thing I would recommend is start shadowing and just get your feet wet and just, because that will really tell you, yes, I really like this. This is something I would like to learn more about. Or it'll tell you, meh, I don't love it. I think I'll try something else. So shadowing is a great place to start.
Okay, that's great. Do you think there are any requirements for shadowing or?
It would vary depending on the ODs that you reach out to. Some have more time probably, to use as a mentor, as an OD that is letting you shadow. So they may take, more interested students. Some may only have time for one or two, so they might look for a resume, copies of your transcript just to see your grades. They'd probably want to talk to you to find out what you know about optometry and why you're interested. But yeah, probably, being able to show that you've got a drive for this field, or that you're at least interested in learning more about it. That should get you in the door for sure.
Mm-hmm. So, I also know that you are a sponsor for POPS. Can you define what is POPS?
Sure. So I mentioned a POPS group earlier. So Pre-Optometry Professional Society is what POPS stands for. All over the U.S., there are pre-optometry student organizations at undergrads. Some go by POPs, some go by Pre-Optometry Association, so POA. Some are pre-optometry student organization. It's a variety of names. But POPs is just kind of since that's what we have here at University of Houston, that's the one I'm closest to. So that's just kind of the term that I use. But a POPs group, specifically the one here at UH, has a variety of students from all years in undergrad, some even outside of UH. At UH, you do not have to be a student here in order to be a member of POPs. You can be a community college student. You can be a member of another university. So it's a variety of students, a variety of majors, a variety of experience in optometry. Somebody could have been shadowing or working for years. Some could just be coming to their very first meeting, to decide, what is this about? Hey, there's free pizza. I think I'll come. There's Chick-fil-A, real often. So it's just a variety of students who have the similar goal of learning about optometry, most likely eventually enrolling in an optometry school program. Typically, there'll be guest speakers who'll come in, like myself, from different optometry schools who'll talk about the requirements, a little history of the schools. They'll bring in current ODs to talk about what their job entails, some who are fresh out of school, some who've been in the practice for many years and have seen changes come about. Sometimes they'll bring in different representatives of like Kaplan or different OAT study tools to kind of give a little presentation and to help students prepare for the OAT. They also do a lot of volunteering. So UH Pops does a lot of volunteering when it comes to like vision walks, vision screenings, awareness raising, and money raising too. So they'll have bake sales and different sort of fundraising events to help pay for the organization itself. Plus, students pay some dues that go to kind of help the organization keep moving. Plus, there are scholarships that a lot of organizations will offer their most active members.
Okay, so thank you for that, Lyle. So, is a community college okay to attend to, and does it really affect anything that whenever you're doing the process through a optometry school?
Yes, it is okay, and yes, it does affect. First, it's completely fine. Every school of optometry or college of optometry is going to have similar requirements, but we're all a little bit different. So one little caveat to put out there is to know the schools to which you're applying and be sure you know what their prereqs are, what their letters of rec requirements are. Just know what they accept versus what another school may not accept. We are fine with community college credit to an extent. There is no max amount of hours that are acceptable, but you want to think about competitiveness. You want to be the strongest applicant you can be, and one of many ways to strengthen your application is to have the majority of your prereqs come from a university level. Now, that being said, it's completely fine to have a few community college hours, in your prereqs. If you've got community college hours that are not prereqs, I won't say we're not interested in those, but we're not looking at them real closely. You could, for us, you could have your psychology, your stats, maybe even your calculus from community college would be completely fine. This is not to say that community colleges are not challenging or that they're not as difficult. Certainly they are. I'm not downplaying them at all. It's just a fact that does factor into your competitiveness as an applicant. That is one thing that we look at. Our faculty reviewers do take a look at where you completed your degree, how many hours you have at each different school if you have multiple schools, because it all just sort of weighs together in your preparedness or your perceived preparedness for our curriculum.
Okay, so I have another question.
Yeah.
Does the optometry school, when going through the process, does it depend on your major, or can you be any major, or do you have to specifically be this kind of major?
That's another wonderful thing about optometry. You can come from any background. Most of our students, and I think this is probably true nationally, most optometry students come in with bachelors in biology, chemistry, biomed science, biochem, something around the biology field for multiple reasons. One, that's what you're getting ready to go into. You're going to go into a science. And two, for our program, almost across the board, if you're a biology major, you're going to take all of our prereqs as a part of your degree plan. You shouldn't have to pick up anything additional. But if you are an English major, like I was, you would have to pick up quite a few extra classes in addition to your English major. Does that make sense? So you're picking up our prereqs. But you can have any degree and come to optometry school. We have, like I said, majority bio majors, but we've got amazing students who have their degrees in engineering, math, music, nutrition, kinesiology, exercise science, business. We see a lot of business minors and a few business majors. Most are bio and chem, though. So.
Okay. So, can you tell us where we can see the prerequisites for U of H exactly?
Yeah, definitely. So on our website, which is just www.opt.uh.edu, that's our homepage, and there's a link for future students. And so if you click on that, that'll show you all the application information, things that we require, things we're looking for, things we prefer, and the prereqs are part of that.
Okay. And guys, I'll make sure I post a link down below, so check it out if you want to. So whenever you're applying for optometry school, can you tell us the process going through it, like at the beginning to the middle, and then finally the end?
Yeah. So you'll probably start with Optomcast. And again, if you just Google Optomcast, Optomcas, that will take you to their website. So Optomcast is the centralized application service. That's what CAS stands for all optometry schools. All 23 in the U.S. use Optomcast, which is great because you only have to apply once, and you choose the schools to receive your application. So it saves you time and some money to use that service. And they're wonderful for us because they sort of vet all of the applications, put them all in the similar format, and then get them to us. So you start your Optomcast application. It can be sort of lengthy. For each application cycle, and for UH, ours is from July 1 through February 28th for that following fall. So like right now, today is February 21st. We are almost to the end of this current application cycle. So we have been enrolling students for fall 2017 since July. So you start with your Optomcast, you give it a lot of personal information, you enter all of your academic information. So if you've attended 3 schools, you enter every course, every year, every grade that you've gotten. So that's kind of lengthy. You'll enter your letters of recommendation. In fact, you just enter your evaluators info, and so they reach out to your evaluators for you, and I'll come back to that in just a second. Okay. You'll enter all of your experience, and that's work experience, shadowing experience, non-optometric experience, volunteer experience, anything you've ever done that speaks to leadership, time management, study habits, working in groups, engagement in community, engagement in campus, you can list. So you don't have to think, maybe I shouldn't list that. Probably, if you can factor it into those things I just listed, put it down. So that, and I'm sure there's other areas I'm forgetting. There is an essay that you have to answer, but the same essay goes to every school. The essay is always, tell us about what has inspired you to be in the field of optometry. What sort of preparation have you done inside and outside of the classroom to get there? What do you want to do with your degree? Things like that. So that's your Optomcast application. As a part of that, you submit transcripts from all of your institutions to Optomcast. They verify everything you've told them as far as what your grades are. You can pay them a little bit extra, and they'll do all the entering for you. And so in essence, they're verifying it while they're entering it. I think it's like $50 extra. they will reach out to your evaluators. So we are looking for 3 letters of evaluation, of recommendation. 2 have to be from professors who've taught you in a class. Ideally a science class. It's not set in stone that it has to be, but it behooves you to use science professors. That 3rd recommendation letter really can come from anyone. Most people use an OD that you've either worked with or shadowed. Some schools require an OD's letter. We do not. I would say we prefer it to be from an OD. Optomcast will let you load as many as 4. So that 4th letter, which I definitely recommend that you use, you could use another OD, you could use another professor, you could use someone who's been an advisor but not a teacher. You could use someone you've worked with in a church organization, a community organization. Again, just you want people who will really speak to those areas I covered a while ago, leadership, time management, passion for the field, that sort of thing. So all of that is your Optomcast application. Usually around the same time as that people are applying, they're taking their OAT. To take your OAT, again, you can just Google Optometry Admission Test, and it'll direct you to where you apply. You just set up a profile, give it some information, and then it will tell you a list of places that you can take your exam. Again, this is Houston. There are prometric testing centers everywhere, so it's really not a problem to find a place to take it. But usually people take their OAT around the same time they're applying. You can submit your application before you finish your OAT. They're both required, but they're not mutually exclusive. I do have to have everything before I send it forward to our faculty to review. But if somebody is getting their application done in July or August, let's say, and you're just really not ready to take your OAT, you just haven't quite studied to where you feel like you're really prepared, you shouldn't rush and just do it. Take a little more time, study more. I definitely recommend, let's study, let's be as ready as possible before you take your OAT. 1, because I want you to have the best scores possible, and 2, because it costs about $500 and nobody wants to pay that more than once. So your application, your OAT, your transcripts are being submitted, your letter writers are completing that process for you. We have a short supplemental application. Some schools do not. Some schools have longer supplemental applications that have another writing sample. Ours does not have a writing sample. It's really mostly about your residency. It's very short, and so you can do that around that same time, or I'll send you a link to it once I have your main application. So once we have all of those aspects, I review it. I make sure that all of your prereqs are taken or that they're planned. I make sure I have your scores, all of your letters. Then I send it forward to our faculty admissions committee. They're reviewing all of those aspects. They're going to read all of your experience, all of your academic work, all of the volunteering that you've done. They're going to look really closely at those letters of recommendation. Those go really far. Then the faculty make decisions on whether they want to invite you to campus for an interview. We see at UHCO about 650, between 600 and 650 applications each year, and our class size is 104. So it's about a 1 in 6. There's where that competitiveness comes in a little bit. So we probably interview about, I'm going to say 140 students. There's no set number. We could interview more, we could interview fewer, but just that's typically how many we interview. We are obviously very interested in a student if we invite you to campus for an interview. We don't want to waste anybody's time or money. But we interview about that many, and then we fill the class throughout the fall and the spring.
Okay. Are you there in the interview, or?
Sometimes I am. So I am sort of I'm with you almost all day on an interview day. Typically, when you come for your interview day, there will be 9 to 12 applicants together in one day. We we visit, we talk among each other. It's very conversational. Like the whole day is a real conversational, welcoming home sort of atmosphere, family feel, I hope. We do a presentation about the program, about what you can expect, throughout the years. We talk about financial aid and scholarships, about loans, about FAFSA. We take a tour of the building so you can see all the amazing facility that we have, the beautiful college that we have. We visit with current students over lunch. That's really the best part of the day because they really get to ask the what's it like questions. Then we go into the interview portion of the day. And so as an applicant, you will visit with 3 to 5 faculty members at once, so it's a panel interview. It is open file, so they have your application, they have your scores, they have your letters of rec, and they've had a chance, to review them. So you sit and visit with those faculty members for usually about 20 to 30 minutes. It just depends on how the conversation goes. It is not adversarial. They're not quizzing you. It is really just an extended conversation about what your experiences have been. If they see areas of your application that were a little, like maybe you struggled in a certain semester, they'll probably ask you about that. They'll probably ask you things like, what was your hardest course in undergrad? What type of studier are you? Do you like to study independently? Are you good to study in groups? As a little pro tip, if you're not a group studier, I would recommend trying to be. Because optometry school, you really should depend on your classmates and lean on each other. There's no reason to do all this alone. It's a lot of material coming at you really fast all at one time. So to have study teams, study groups, even if you like to kind of have your own methods and study by yourself, also be a part of a study team so that you can, share your knowledge, that you can learn from others. So that's just a little aside. They'll probably, ask you questions about what your experiences have been working, for practices or shadowing. Just things about what have you done to ready yourself as well as possible for a professional school environment, for optometry specifically.
So, during the interview, how should people approach it? Should they be relaxed? Should they be calm? Should they act professional? Can they be themselves?
I would say yes to all of that.
Okay.
Definitely be yourself. I know. You're going to be nervous no matter what. I can tell you, be calm. I can tell you it's going to be conversational, but it's a big step. It's an important part of applying for this next huge step in your life. So I do get that. But I find that the best interviewees are confident of what you've done, confident that you know about our school, or at least some things about our school, that why you want to be here specifically, why you want to go into optometry. I definitely recommend having questions prepared, preferably even before you get there that day, but definitely during the presentation that morning, during your visits with students on the tour. Just make notes about what do you as a faculty member recommend is a quality that makes a successful first year student, just things like that. Or I'm interested in the combo OD MS program. Can you tell me a little more about that? Just things that show you have done a little research on our school, and that you're not just showing up, just randomly. It is conversational, and I like to say it's your interview, so it's your chance to interview us and ask us questions. And who knows better? Who knows the answers to questions about you better than you? So, I know you're going to be nervous, but be as confident as possible, and just go in excited to talk about this school and what you want to do next. You should be excited, to talk about optometry.
That's awesome. Oh man, hope you guys ready for this. I think we are done with the interview.
Cool.
That's awesome. Alright, so how is there any way that people can contact you or
Yeah, definitely. So we have, I'll put in a little plug, we have an open house every spring. Usually it's in April. This year it's April 8th. That's a really great day. It's a day of tours, talking with current students, seeing demos in the labs. So that's an excellent day. It's totally free, just to come and visit the school. But you don't have to wait until that day. You can always reach out to me if you want a tour, if you want to come talk about what you should do as an applicant, if you want me to review your academics, so far, if you want me to make sure you're taking all the right prereqs, I can do that anytime. That's a big part of what I do. So my email address is D as in David, LTATE @UH.edu. Phone number is 713, and I'm guessing it will be along here, somewhere along the bottom.
Yep.
713-743-2044. Yeah, so that's me.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Thank you guys so much for watching this. As I said before previously, please hit like, share, and subscribe, and there will be more and new content to be